In this video, we are going to be reviewing the AquaTru countertop reverse osmosis filter. And before we get into it today, if you are looking for ways to improve your health, to lose fat, and to do it sustainably, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Come on, girl. I know. And before getting into it today, if you are looking for more ways to improve your health, to lose fat, and to do it sustainably, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm putting out videos all the time on how to help you get in the best shape of your life. With that said, let's get into it. Now, why a water filter, right? In most areas, tap water is going to be extremely contaminated, including things like birth control, antibiotics, PFAS, arsenic, nitrates, heavy metals, even pesticides such as atrazine, which has been shown to actually change the gender of frogs. So you shouldn't be drinking this stuff, and typically what you're gonna find is most bottled waters at the store are gonna be not filtered enough to the point where there's many of these things in them as well, while also containing many microplastics, which are unhealthy for us as well. Now, are any of these things, tap water, bottled water, gonna kill you if you drink it from time to time? Of course not. But if you are looking to live optimally and healthy, it is important that the majority of the time you are drinking filtered water. So the AquaTru is actually a gift from our very own Amy Pattison. At the time I was going to a water filter store, I was getting reverse osmosis filter, I was lugging the 5-gallon jugs, bringing them in, filling them up, paying to have them filled up, lugging them back, lugging them up my stairs. It was just an entire process. And so when I was gifted this, I was extremely grateful, and once I started using the filter, I immediately loved it. I will say when I got it, I was a little bit skeptical, especially because you pour tap water into this machine. So I wanted to make sure that it was actually reverse osmosis. In this video, we're gonna talk about a little deep dive of what I researched into as well as my experience. So this review is gonna cover things like price, hardware and function, and then we are going to get into the pros and cons. Okay, so let's start with the price. So price for this specific model, AquaTru has a couple different models on their site, but the specific one that I use that we are going to talk about today is $450 on their site. Now, if by the end of the review you would like to buy this unit, you can actually save $100 by using the link in the description of this video. That $100 off will work specifically for any filter on the site, but for this one, it's going to bring it down to $350. Now, comparatively, $350 to your typical filter that you'll find at the store is going to sound like a lot, right? A Brita filter, I don't know what they're running for right now, probably anywhere from $20 to $40. And so that's a big difference. The thing is, most filters that are cheaper than this, most filters that get down into the early hundreds or even below that, don't actually filter out what we care about. For example, the Brita filter is really good at filtering out chlorine, which may change the taste and the smell of the water, but it's not removing any of the heavy metals, the pesticides, the fluoride, the things that we actually want to get rid of. So just comparatively for reverse osmosis, this is actually a really good price, one that has been durable. I've had it for over a year now. But I will say along with that is filters must be changed anywhere from 6 to 12 months. So we'll get into a little bit of the hardware, but you have multiple filters, so you're changing at least one of those filters about every 6 months. This is gonna run you about $135 for every 2 years, so it is an ongoing expense, but keep in mind you're saving yourself trips to the store, and any other filter that you buy, you're going to need replacement filters. So with that said, let's get into the hardware. So the hardware of the AquaTru, setting the filter up was extremely simple. You have your base, you have the side, which contains your 4 filters, technically 3, but there's 4 different filters in the 3 tubes. And then you have your back filter, which is what you filter with water or fill with tap water. And then you have your front filter, which is what the water filters into. Along with that, on the front of the filter, you have a screen. The screen is going to show you a couple different things. It's going to tell you when you need to swap out your filters, which I do like. It's also going to tell you when the water is being filtered, and it's going to give you a little visual of when the back container needs to be dumped out and filled back up. So to work the AquaTru, once it's set up, you have your back tank, you have your front tank. The back tank is going to take the tap water that you fill it with, and it's going to basically recycle it through the filters until the pure version of the water comes out front. And the cool part about this is that it doesn't filter the entirety of the water, because it basically spits out all the impurities and everything left back into that back tank. And so it will push the water through, but it's gonna leave a good amount of water in the back, and it's gonna tell you when it needs to be refilled. Then your job is to take that back tank, pour it out, so pour the discarded water out, and then fill it back up with tap water and put it back on. I think the interesting part about this is when I pour out that wastewater, the water that's been filtered and then spit back out into the back, I can actually smell the chemicals of it. I can smell the chlorine specifically very, very strongly. So that is something to note. That gives me a little confidence that the filters are actually working. And then what I do like about the back filter is when you fill it back up, it does have a handle that you can grab, so you can actually bring it from the sink back into the thing, so you're not lugging this big container around. Not super heavy, it's good size to where it has some weight to it, but it's not anything unrealistic. And then as far as setup goes and changing the filters, it's super, super easy. When you install the filters, you're twisting them. When you uninstall them, you're untwisting them. When you swap them out, you just need to do 4 different fill-ups of the tank before you can actually start drinking the water, just to make sure that the filters are working, you're clearing everything through, and you're getting the best quality water. All right, with that said, let's get into the pros and the cons. So pro number 1, just in general, I really love this system. Going from someone who would have to go to the water store to fill up jugs and lug them, take multiple trips back to my car, up and down my stairs, this is so much more convenient. Being able to just fill up the back, have it ready, to be able to fill it up throughout the day, and to not have it be this complicated process is just a big weight off my shoulders, saves me a lot of time, and it's just way more convenient than what I've tried in the past. I think the second thing I love about this unit is the screen. So you have an actual visual of what you need. It's gonna tell you when you need to change the filters. It's gonna tell you when you need to refill the tank in the back. It's gonna tell you when it's actually filtering the water through, and of course you're gonna be able to hear it, and it's just gonna give you a full understanding of what's going on with the system. And then I think the next pro is just it's a very nice to look at unit. It's not overly clunky. It's designed very well. The colors are nice. It's calming. It's not something that's just like a big metal tin or something that looks like an eyesore. With that said, let's get into some cons for this machine, because there are some cons. I will say I really do enjoy this machine, but there's definitely some parts that I think could be better. So con number 1 is that if you have your machine on a countertop, you're actually gonna have to pull it out if you want to refill a bigger glass. Pause real quick. So I just went and measured it, and you've got about 6 inches between the spout and the ground. So if you have any glasses that are above 6 inches or even at 6 inches, you're gonna have to pull the machine. Now, my fix for this is I have it on the ledge. So I have a separate stand to where it can just stay off so that I can fill up any size at any time. The other alternative is they actually sell something that you can put the machine on that slides. So if you wanted to keep it on the back of your countertop, I found units on Amazon for like $30. So you'd have to put it on top, and then you can slide it forward, fill up your glass, and then push it back. But regardless, it is a little bit annoying that it has that, but typically most filters, the spout isn't gonna be this massive distance from the countertop. My second con here is, unfortunately, I don't love that the water containers are plastic. The plastic is BPA free. However, I also understand if you have a unit that is maybe catching sunshine, or you're living in an area where it could get typically very hot during the day, there is potential for some of those plastics from the container to leach into the water. And one of the things I'm avoiding by not avoiding bottled water is the microplastics. So it's not perfect. In the ideal world, it would be a different material, but I also understand if it was something like glass, it would be very risky in terms of breaking it, and I'm sure it'd be difficult with other materials as well. Don't love it. It is what it is. I still use it regardless. The third thing about this unit that is kind of a con, it's kind of a pro depending where you compare it to, is you're only looking about half a gallon of a tank of water before you have to refill it. So the unit itself will hold a little bit less than a gallon at a time, because you have that half gallon in the back, which is not going to be used in full at once, and you have the half gallon in front. But if you look at a bunch of other reverse osmosis filters out there, that is kind of smaller. What I will say is it hasn't been too bad in terms of use. Do I have to fill it up multiple times a day? Yes, especially if I'm using water for watering my plants, or boiling water on the stove, even boiling in my kettle. However, it's not an insanely difficult or annoying process to fill it up, but it is a smaller tank than a bunch of other reverse osmosis filters out there. The fourth con we're looking at here is the filtering time. Now, this is going to be pretty standard for any reverse osmosis filter at this budget range, but it does take about 10 to 15 minutes to filter all the water from the back into the front. Now, this hasn't really been an issue for me. I think there's maybe been like 3 to 5 times where I have been a little annoyed at having to wait, whether I got to fill up a big jug, or I have multiple people that want to fill up, or I'm just cooking, or something where I need the water, but it hasn't been insanely inconvenient or anything. anything. And that's something you're gonna find with any reverse osmosis filter, but it is something to keep in mind. The fifth con, which is probably my biggest con from this machine standpoint, and again, I think as far as standard reverse osmosis filters go, this is gonna be a struggle for pretty much any of those out there. But unfortunately, the filters for telling you to refill them are timed. And so they're not gonna tell you when to change the filters in the machine based off of when they actually need to be changed. They're gonna give you a rough estimate. So if they want you to swap them out every 6 months, but you're using the filter way more than you think, there is the potential that the filters run out and you're actually not getting filtered tap water when you think you are. So that is really the most unfortunate part to me. I choose to trust that I don't drink an insane amount of water above the average person, especially because I'm a one-person household and this is built for anywhere from 2 to 4. But you know, from a cost effectiveness standpoint, if I'm replacing my filters way more than I need to be, that's a little bit unfortunate. And then from a health standpoint, if I'm not replacing my filters soon enough and I'm drinking unfiltered tap water, that's very unfortunate as well. But like I said, I don't think there are many reverse osmosis filters out there that will tell you exactly when the filters need to be replaced. I think it's just something that you have to be intentional about and replace them when you think it's best for you. And then the sixth con, and this goes for reverse osmosis filters in general, is you do have to remineralize the water to get the best results from it. So what you find with reverse osmosis is they take out a lot of the stuff in the water. Most of the stuff is bad. However, they also will in the process remove things that are good. The minerals, the things that our bodies need. And so rather than just be able to pour the water and enjoy it, knowing that you are drinking clean, healthy water, I would suggest if you buy any reverse osmosis filter that you use something like a trace minerals, which is gonna help you remineralize the water. And so if you take your glass, you fill it with the reverse osmosis AquaTru water, you would just put a couple drops in of the trace minerals. You don't have to even do that every time, but just making sure you're getting in the full serving every day, and that's gonna help a lot. So is it inconvenient? Yes. So is it way less convenient than just filling up a glass with tap water or going to the store and buying bottled water? Yes, it is. However, as someone who cares about my health, as someone who does not want to be consuming all of these toxins, all of these things that are not made for my body, it is well worth it to me. And overall, I really would suggest this for someone who doesn't have clean water, for someone who has the budget for something like this. But if I'm being honest, for most people, if you're drinking tap water, I would recommend you make the budget for this because we are literally 70% water. And so it's extremely important that we are drinking pure water so that we can be a pure being. I really believe water is one of the foundations for your health. So there is my AquaTru review. There are some things to be aware about if you are considering purchasing a unit. If you have any questions about the unit, feel free to comment below. I will do my best to answer. Again, if you are looking to purchase this unit, you think it's a good one for you, you can head down below and you can use my link to save $100 on the purchase. But overall, this is a great machine. I do recommend it, and I would love to hear from you if you do end up using it. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. And of course, as always, make sure to eat smart, move more, sleep deep, and be grateful for this moment. I'll see you in the next video.